Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in Aztec, New Mexico. And what we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site that's Chaco Canyon. This is the Aztec Ruins. It's right up here just south of the Colorado border, and it's right on the Animus River. This was an important site probably at 1000 AD up to about 1200 whenever it was abandoned and everything else. But anyway, the Anasazi or the Ancestral Pueblos built this here right on the bank of the Aztec or the Animus River, and it had at one time about 400 rooms. What is really famous is the Great Kiva, and it was at one time 3 stories tall. So we're going to walk through here and we'll look at this and kind of enjoy the day. And what made this site important is right over there. You can see all those trees. That's the Animus River. Water in this region is the life's blood. It gets really hot in the summertime, and they also used it, for their crops and stuff like that. But the run is over here. Part of it, like the west part of it, has been excavated, and it'll be in the condition we see. The east part has not been excavated, and they only do like private tours there with a guided ranger only a couple times a year. So this is a free site. They have a visitors center, a museum here. We'll look at it really quick, and then we'll go into the ruins. Like they got a little school group here. This is the visitor center. And they have a movie that they play here also if you want to familiarize yourself with the Indians that were here, the Anasazi. And so this is the museum, so it'll have all the pottery and moccasins and stuff like that. Some of the pottery is just unbelievable. So here's some flagstaff, totally new, different styles. Shell pennants. They traded and got these little shells. They traded down all the way down into Mexico, and they made tools out of the bones and everything else. This is pretty cool. That's a bag. They made it out of the yucca fibers and a feather belt. They domesticated turkey so they could use those also. And then they have a cotton fabric bag. Yucca and cotton. Various implements and stuff. This is really cool. Check out that. That's a child's moccasin right there. Oh, that's really cool. So this is the Mesa Verde style. They're calling it black on white. That's the common style you see. And an Aztec black bull. They have a gourd rattle. And check out that right there. It's cactus spines was a tattooing instrument. Huh. And this is kind of what the rooms or the ruin will look like right here. We have some bowls here. Oh, that's really cool. It's like that's the bow, and those are the arrow shafts, and then the arrowheads that they chipped. But you can see the little styling that they did in all those bowls. So this was tied to the culture from Chaco Canyon, but they say that Chaco Canyon started to decline, so that maybe Aztec became kind of the center of the culture here also. They don't exactly know. There's nobody left around really to talk to about that. Check out those. Those are fantastic. So they have it set up to where you just kind of wander around the outside here. So they brought all these rock in, and they would have chiseled them down to fit them into the shape they needed, and then they would have built these. So this would have been 3 stories tall, which is just absolutely fantastic. Looks like we got a little step up here, and there's another little kiva here. And get some pottery shards down in there, and then more of the ruin. Yeah, really cool to see this. It's definitely worth the price of admission, which is free. Yeah, so they still have some of the windows, and they would have covered this. They would have put cedar trees across the top, also between the floors, to build the the floor or the roof, and then they would have covered it with the mud and the clay. And they would have done stuff up on the roof also. They would have been flat. So they could have done like, you know, making pottery up there, you know, tanning hides, all the normal activities during the day. So let's walk over here towards this kiva. So you can see the native vegetation here, the sagebrush, the rabbit brush, they got the cottonwoods, and some of these like the pinyon pines. They could use the sap out of that. They would have taken the nuts off of it also for in addition to their dietary needs. Plus they would have farmed this region. You know, it's got a fairly long growing season here. But they just need water, which the Animus would have provided them. This is cool. So these, you can see how they use the cedar trees here. They would have hacked those down. These have all been added on later, but pretty cool. All right, so they've come in and restored all this. There's a lizard running around over there. But this would have had cedar trees and all the sandstone and everything. And this would have been a religious place. So they've restored this with the colors, the black, or the white and the red. And then they have some grinding stones here. So I think what these are is the summer and the winter. And they would have had a fire pit here. So this was a mostly above ground kiva. And they would have had the cedar roof. You see how they would have done the construction and then covered it with the dirt. And then the place for the smoke to go out. Oh, this is fantastic here. And they've restored the columns and everything. Oh, I've never seen them do this before. So you can see how they use the stone and then like the cedar, and then they plastered over the top of it. Oh, that's really interesting. And so the column sits on a round disc. Oh, so I see, that's what these are. So these would have been underneath the columns to kind of give it a footing. Oh, this is beautiful in here, really cool. And I don't know if they used that as a ladder to come in and out. Use those windows up there as a door, and those would have been a ladder built into the wall. Oh. And some huge trees that they would have used up there. And remember, they would have cut those down with a stone axe. So it would have taken 1,000 or more whacks with a stone axe to cut that down. All right. Yeah, I don't know what this is about right here. That's 3 pieces of wood sticking up, but it's right here on the north end of this kiva. And they have another little part of it over here. So the Anasazi people were the men were about 5'3", and the women were about 5'1". So they were very short. So they would have used these lower doors, no problem. Oh, really cool. All right, let's look a little bit more of the ruin here. This kiva is kind of the highlight of this site. And another little doorway out to here. And some more of the ruins. And all the kids over here having a great day. And so this is another kiva. So it would look similar to that inside. Not as big though. And you can see how they did the cross members with the cedar. And then they would have had their fire pit. They would have had a vent and a little stone set up to break the wind. And then there's a hole over there, right there. That's the supapa. I think that's how you pronounce it. And that was to let the spirits come out of the earth, I believe. And it's right next to this other kiva. Okay, so let's go up in here. These are the best walls up here on the second level. And there would have been another level up above this. Another kiva. So some of the rooms were used for sleeping and everything. Then they had other rooms that they would have used to store grains and nuts. Put your supplies away for the winter. You go to Mesa Verde, they did a lot of their storerooms up above. and then they would seal them off to try to keep the mice out of it, because they just didn't want to lose any of it to, you know, the rodents. But, oh, this is fantastic. A little bit more of the cedar post coming across there. Oh, so it looks like they did a double wall construction. Give it extra stability. Oh no, that's just where they restored it. It would have been more like this. They put that concrete in the middle. And another room and modern stuff put in there. That wind is kind of broken. But yeah, that's really cool. All right, so let's go over there. Look at this last little bit. You should be able to see over into the east ruins from here also. Yeah, so this is the other part over here. Now there are some of the windows that are aligned for the seasons, for the solstice, so they know times to plant crops, all of that stuff. They did a lot of that. I think if you go over towards Chimney Rock that's to the north of here, that was a really important site also for the solstice and determining the seasons and all of that. But so you would have come here, shimmy down. This got to really squat down to get through these doorways. But like I said, they were short people, so they used all the stones available. They hauled in these river rock, the sandstone, everything else to build these walls. And you can see they used the grout, and then they used smaller chunks for little fillers and to level them out. And they would have tore these down, remodeled it, added on as needed. Population growth, they would have added on to this site. Yeah, this is really, really cool. I don't know if this was like a window and then they built a room in front of it and then they sealed it off. Hard to say what they did there. Yeah, really a fantastic site though. So we can't see the east ruin from right here. I guess the best place is over there above the Kiva and a little bit more of the ruins here. Yeah, they only excavated half because it was just part of the same complex. So they left the other alone. They excavated it a little bit, but it's all the same type of artifacts, same era, same everything. So they just excavated a little bit and then they backfilled to cover it back up. Yeah, so you can see it way, way, way over there, just the walls. And then they have some of the yucca that they would use. That's what they would have taken to use for the fibers for their moccasins and baskets and stuff like that. Yeah, really a cool site. It's just massive. Well, that'll finish up our video over here at these Aztec ruins. These are really, really cool. The preservation is pretty nice. You can get up there and you can walk through, you know, the ruins and stuff like that. It doesn't have any of the tops, so you have to visualize a little bit more of what it would have looked like. Plus it would have been whitewashed and it would have been you wouldn't have been able to see the stones whenever it was in use. So, but it is a fantastic site. The Kiva here is definitely by far the highlight. It is amazing. So I would suggest coming over here and taking a look just at that. The site is free and is part of the UNESCO site that includes Chaco Canyon. Chaco Canyon is a pay site. This one is free. So if you get a chance, stop here and then go down to Chaco Canyon. That's what I would recommend. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, you get to subscribe, or if you're subscribed, you get to see more of this type of content. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. If you like this, let me know. And if you know more about it than me, tell me also. And until next time, from over here at Aztec, remember, life is a journey. So until next time, enjoy.